Who is a member of the Budget Committee. Always good to see you, Senator. Good morning.
Good morning.
You've probably heard the argument, and it's come from some Democrats and some Democratic analysts who will argue that the reason conservatives don't want to let go of, say, Benghazi or these other controversies is because they need something else since the economy is doing better. But do you believe we're out of the woods, especially given the unemployment rates?
Well, Chris, that is a great question, and the answer is a definitive yes and no. Compared to 2008, no question, we're doing much better. Unemployment is down. We have cut the budget deficit in about half. State budgets now are much better. California was a disaster. Now they're running a surplus. That's the good news. But let me give you the not so good news. And that is, while official unemployment today is at about 7.5%, real unemployment, counting those people who have given up looking for work and people working part-time when they want to work full-time, is almost 14%. And if you look at young people unemployment, if you look at minority unemployment, the numbers are way, way higher than that. More significantly, if you look at the trends impacting the middle class from way, way back, say from 1999, median family income in this country has gone down by about $5,000. And most of the new jobs being created today are not good-paying jobs. They're low-paying jobs. And perhaps most frightening is we are seeing more and more income and wealth inequality in America, so that between 2009 and 2011, all of the new income created in America went to the top 1%. And in terms of wealth, my God, the gap between the very, very rich and everybody else is wide as it has been since the 1920s.
But you know, so, Senator, what Republicans will argue to that. They'll argue that, in fact, you've been saying that there's this big gap between the rich and poor, that we ought to tax the wealthy more. We've been saying the exact opposite. We are the ones who said the sequester would not be a doomsday scenario. We are the ones who said the 2% payroll tax increase will not kill us. And look, it hasn't. What would you say to those Republicans?
Well, what I would say to those Republicans is that right now there is massive suffering in this country, and that is my point. The fact of the matter is that unemployment remains much, much too high, and despite what my Republican friends are saying, we need a massive jobs program to put people back to work, rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, and transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. You talk about sequestration. Right now, there are millions of seniors who need the Meals on Wheels program, and that program has been cut. So you're having some of the most fragile people in this country. I know that they don't make big campaign contributions to the Republican Party. They're sitting at home trying to get a decent meal a day, and our Republican friends have fought to cut that program. You got kids graduating college today deeply in debt, and our Republican friends want to cut the Pell Grant program. So what I would argue is that for significant numbers of people in this country today, the economy is not doing well. It is doing pretty badly, better than it was in 2008. Other point that I would make, Chris, despite all of the criticisms of that stimulus package, which created millions of jobs when we desperately needed, I think that program, in fact, worked and helped us get out of the worst part of the recession.
So what do we do next? And I'm going to talk about the budget for a second here, because we did hear for years from Republicans that the Senate didn't pass a budget. Well, this year they did pass a budget, but of course now nothing has happened. How do the two sides come together? How do the two houses come together? Are you throwing up your hands and saying it's just not going to happen?
No, I'm not. I think it would be a really good idea if the House of Representatives, on occasion, actually listened to what the American people want. And what the American people have said in poll after poll, and what they said in the last election, is yes, we have got to do some judicious cuts, but we also need to ask the wealthiest people in this country, who are doing phenomenally well, the largest corporations, 1 out of 4 of which pay 0 interest, to start paying their taxes so we can do deficit reduction in a way that is fair, so that we can use some of that revenue to create the millions of jobs we desperately need. That is what the American people are saying. Some cuts, and we have done that. Most of deficit reduction has been cuts. We now need revenue so that we do not cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, education at a time when the middle class desperately needs those programs.
Senator Bernie Sanders, always good to have you on the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris.
Alex, so many